Welcome back to World 360. We're now going to be taking a look at the latest in the UK Partygate scandal. The House of Commons Privileges Committee has submitted a report that had some big conclusions. Ex-Prime Minister Boris Johnson deliberately misled the Parliament, breached confidence, undermined the democratic process of the House, and more. This development comes a week after Boris Johnson stepped down as a Conservative MP, saying that it's sad to be leaving the Parliament, at least for now. CNN News 18's Sanjay Suri gets us more on this from London. Sanjay, what are the key takeaways from the report, and what does this now mean for Boris's political path ahead?
That Boris Johnson misled Parliament was, of course, never the issue. Of course it did. We all saw that, and Boris Johnson admits that himself. His defense is that he did not do so knowingly, and that puts us in a grey zone. What he knew he did not, as opposed to what he did and did not. But that is a defense that this Privileges Committee has swept aside. It says he knew the rules, he knew the breaches, and he deliberately misled Parliament. A polite way, really, of saying that Boris Johnson has been lying. The MP's report says that he had direct personal knowledge of the rules being broken because, for a start, he was breaking them himself. And surely the photographs would have reminded him of where he was and what the rules were. When he said in Parliament that he had assurances that rules were being followed, that, the committee said, was not accurately reported. It turns out that senior staff had, on the contrary, said that it would not be realistic to say in Parliament that rules had been followed at all times. The panel found repeated and continual denial of facts, and it said the frequency with which he closed his mind to the obvious would suggest that he did so deliberately. But then, as Liz Truss now reminds everyone, never, ever, ever write Boris Johnson off. And he has only said that he's leaving for now. We are almost certain to see more of him politically. And he is not left without another twist. There is always a Boris Johnson twist around the corner. He has taken up a job as a columnist with the Daily Mail without due vetting from Parliament.
We'll have to see how it plays out in the UK. Now, moving on, earlier this week, at least 79 people were killed when a 20 to 30 meter long boat carrying migrants capsized off of the Greek coast of Pylos. More than 100 people were rescued, but hundreds of others are still missing. The number of passengers was believed to be close to 700, and hopes are now fading of finding any more survivors. In the wake of the tragedy, 9 Egyptians who were also survivors have been arrested on charges of human trafficking. Protests have erupted across Greece over the sinking of the boat. Greek authorities are being criticized for not acting quickly enough to rescue those who were affected by the capsizing. But take a look at this emotional reunion which took place between brothers. Now we're going to take a look at some other stories that have made headlines across the world. Italy's longest-serving and former Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi died on Monday at the age of 86. He was being treated for leukemia. His tenure was ridden with scandal, from child abuse to corruption. Thousands attended his state funeral. In one of the worst road accidents that Canada has witnessed in recent history, at least 15 people were killed in Manitoba after a semi-trailer truck hit a small bus which carried senior citizens. At least 15 were killed in this accident. In Australia's Greta, which is about 180 kilometers northwest of Sydney, a bus carrying wedding guests crashed, killing 10 and injuring 15 others. There was reportedly heavy fog in the area, but the cause of the accident is yet to be determined. The driver was arrested and charged. A candlelight vigil was held for those who lost their lives. And now we close this bulletin, but remember to tune in next week at the same time as the World 360 team continues to bring you interesting stories from across the globe. Thank you for watching.